Hey everybody, welcome to today's show. My name's Jonathan. As always, I got the Masters crew here with me. John Beast, the Doc. What's up, guys?
How you doing, my man?
Real good.
Really
What's up,
excited
man?
about today's show.
Yeah, real excited about today's show. And actually, it's going to be like a dynasty stock market show. Something I just got into. Cryptocurrency gave me the idea. So I thought, why not? Let's do a dynasty show. Some buy, sell, hold players. I wrote a list of guys down. I think it's worth asking the question. Before we get into it, mastersfantasyfootballleagues.com. As you can see above my head here, home to over 600 dynasty leagues. If you're looking to get into one, we definitely have them. With that said, let's jump right into it. The first guy on my list, I wore his jersey today, Ezekiel Elliott. I'm going to shoot this one to you, John Beast. Buy, sell, hold, Ezekiel Elliott.
I'm buying Zeke all day long. And I got to tell you, a lot of people will be looking at Zeke and they're going to think he had a down season, but he still finished the top 10 in RBs last year in spite of missing a lot of games. But when Dak was there, when he's playing with Dak, he was a top 5 RB in PPR and in non-PPR leagues. And the thing is, people are looking at Tony Pollard. They're looking at Tony Pollard, and Tony Pollard looked great. Don't get me wrong. Tony Pollard looked fantastic. He looked like actually the better back. But the fact is, when Zeke came back, Zeke was rolling. And I think he gets Zeke a lot cheaper right now. You think they could? People would look at him as an older back, but he's only 25, I think.
Yeah,
25,
26.
25, 26. He's still got 2 or 3 good years left, and they're paying him all that money. He's going to be getting the rock.
Yeah, and finished 7th. I agree with you. I think even in a down year, which I think we can all agree, he finished 7th. I'll pass this one to you. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I actually do agree, and I'm not even a big Zeke guy, but it's I think just the public perception right now is that Zeke's more so on the decline, which I don't think is necessarily true. I think there's perception out there that he's a little older than people would think too, just because he's been around a while and he's gotten a lot of carries. But at the end of the day, in true stock fashion, we're buying the dips here. I think this is about as low as he's going to be for the time being. So this is a good chance to buy him now. And then reap the rewards going forward.
Would either of you take him over, or take any of the rookie running backs come in over Zeke in a fresh startup league?
I mean, for me, Najee is the only one I would even consider. And I mean, at this point, I can't say that I would. I think I'd stick with Zeke right now.
Yeah, and I agree. And actually, I want to say I'm not a big Zeke guy either. I don't think that's going to go over very well.
It's not the truth.
Yeah, but I mean, it's odd for me because all of a sudden it's like as soon as guys hit 25, 26, everybody wants to get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe there are some guys who elevate above that, guys you can trust up until they're 30, 31. I personally think Zeke's going to be one of them guys. I'd also buy the dip. Which I have been chasing that on Dogecoin.
Oh, yeah.
Good luck on that.
Yeah. I know this. I've been buying a lot of dips that hasn't paid out yet.
Mm-hmm.
We'll move on, though. This next guy, I think he's a really interesting one. I'm going to shoot this one to the Doc. Number 1 tight end in fantasy football. Most people think he's going to repeat that for the next few years. We'll see. Travis Kelce, buy, sell, hold.
I'm going to say hold. I wouldn't really be going out there buying someone of his age, even though, again, he's been the best tight end in fantasy, no question. And at the same time, too, I don't really know that I'd want to sell him if I had him, even though he is older. I mean, he gives you a good shot to produce at a number 1 tight end level for at least the next year or two. So I would say hold on Travis Kelce.
Yeah, and I guess some of it depends on what your team looks like.
Right.
Obviously, if you're a contender, probably want to hold and keep. John Beast, buy, sell, hold, Travis Kelce.
I'm buying Travis. And I think when you think about tight ends, and tight end quarterbacks, the only position it really applies to, but players can play much later into their careers, and they're much older. And let's say you get 2 more years out of Travis Kelce. How many more years do you think you can get out of Josh Jacobs? 2? Okay, so let's say you trade Travis for Josh Jacobs straight up.
Josh Jacobs is probably like 26. 27
Not even.
Yeah,
years.
Josh Jacobs is probably 23 right now.
Yeah.
And you think he
So
only
you
has
think
2
you'll get
years left?
2 or 3, but Travis Kelce's the number 1 tight end. I mean, the gap between Kelce and Waller is so not Kelce and Waller. Kelce and Waller versus number 3 is so great. And if you get 2 years of that, I'm just thinking the value is much higher.
Yeah. And I mean, I understand. I agree with you. And we actually had been saying sell Kelce for the last couple of years, and we've been wrong. I think it's finally time. And I understand that, I mean, what he did last year was amazing. If you're a contender, and maybe, you can use Kelce for the next 1 or 2 years, I mean, he's going to be 34, 35 years old. I don't recall any, 35, 36, 37-year-old tight ends winning fantasy leagues for anybody. I think now's the time to sell Travis Kelce. I'm going to hard sell. I think he's reached his peak. I think you can get as much as you're going to get out of him.
Yeah.
Look for a contender and get rid of Travis Kelce. That's what I'm going for.
I don't think you get that much for him. I think a mid-first, I think 1.5 would get him. I'm not really sure.
We were doing tons of trades last year. I seen Kelce pulling 2-1.
I agree, last year, but now he's 32.
Well,
you're right. I mean, I just think
he did just come off another great year, though. He's showing no signs of slowing
that's what
down.
I'm thinking,
None.
right? Yeah, and I mean, he very well could keep this up for another 2 years. I mean, this is a
Yes.
dynasty league,
Right.
bro.
2 years. That's a lot. Anyways, and I give you a couple of tight ends. Tony Gonzalez and Antonio Gates. They're 2 tight ends that produce at 35.
But I don't think they were worth round 1 picks at 35.
No,
or
maybe
36.
not.
They were
You're
just
right. Yeah.
contributors on teams.
And
You could
that's-
still use them. I just think I'll say this. I think this will be the last year you could get a 1 or 2 1s out of Travis Kelce.
Yeah, 2 1s is a lot. I'd
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
get him for 1-1.
I agree.
I think too when you talk about Antonio Gates and Tony Gonzalez, Travis Kelce's been basically unharmed in terms of injury, and for someone to be that durable is very impressive. But at the same time, as he's getting older, I mean, you start to wonder in a game, especially as physical as football, if he's going to be able to hold up as he gets into these older years. So yeah, that.
I agree. I worry about that too. He's a
Right.
big guy. He catches a lot of passes across the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been really lucky that someone hasn't took one of them knees out.
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously, we can't predict an injury. And I think you can go either way with a lot of these guys. For me, it's a sell. Move on to the next guy here. Here's another guy I think is really interesting. He's actually a rookie going into his second year. Buy, sell, hold Justin Herbert.
I'm selling.
Me too.
Because I think you get if you can get a first-round pick for him. And I tell you, I wouldn't be looking for a first-round pick for 2021 because I don't think you can get it. But I bet you can get one for 2022. And a 2022 first-round pick, think about when your rookie draft is over, which for a lot of leagues, it's over in the middle of May. But then the next most valuable pick becomes those 2022 first. Now our rookie drafts are in July, but still, the 2022 first is just as valuable as the 2021.
Right.
And I think it's eventually, but it's going to hold its value.
Right.
Yeah. No, I agree. You agree?
Yeah. It's hard for me to say sell at this point. I'm gonna say hold again on Justin Herbert, just because he did so much well as a rookie. I wasn't even really big on him coming into his rookie season, but he kind of surprised me with how he looked. And I think, as always too, we've talked about this a lot, but that dual threat ability, the ability to make at least some things happen with the feet too. I feel like his fantasy value's got a relatively high floor. He might not have these big games that we saw this year, with their defense decimated and things like that. But I think I'm going to hold on to him for now, just because he had such a great season. He's still a young guy. He can only really get better or about the same, you would hope. And I just don't think I can pull the trigger on selling him yet.
Hey, if you're picking a quarterback right now, it's your turn on the clock, and you're picking Bear or Burrow. Who are you taking?
Burrow
for me too.
Yeah,
I'm taking Bear.
I just feel, even though he's got more of that dual threat upside than Burrow, and Burrow's not even unathletic. I mean, we've seen him run before. I mean, I can think of that national championship game against Clemson. He was pulling away from Isaiah Simmons.
Right.
So we know he's athletic. I don't know. I just kind of like the dog in Joe Burrow a little more, and for me, that's the kind of guy I want on my fantasy team.
I mean, do either one of you guys think Justin Herbert has the potential to be like a top 3, top 4 quarterback in this league? For
Boy, you do your rookie year. I'm not.
I mean,
what more does he got to do?
Which I get it, but I mean, so that has to put him in a class with Mahomes, Kyler Murray. I mean, do you believe in him that much?
No.
And that's why I say sell. I do think he's a guy you could probably get a first-round pick for with his age, based on what he did last year. I do believe at one point he's kind of going to settle where he belongs. That's a mid-tier quarterback. And I just want to go back. You were a guy that went and got a ton of Patrick Mahomes
Yes.
shares, since we're speaking stocks. And I'm pretty sure going into his second year, you were giving up a first-round pick to get him, right?
Yes.
And that's something that's panned out. But we both none of us think he could be on that level.
I
So
don't.
if you could get a first round pick for Justin Herbert, I think he moves. So
That's a good
Who
point.
was that Who was that quarterback that whoever it was pulled away from? That you just supposed?
What? Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow pulled away from Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker from Clemson. Yeah, and everybody was talking up
You
his
know what? So
athleticism.
he's doing doctor stuff, and he's probably in the ER, and he's supposed to be working on it. He's studying who's.
right.
Yeah, and crunching the numbers, see the athleticism some of these quarterbacks have. I'm with you though on Herbert though. That you actually might have swayed me a little
If
bit.
you could get a one,
Right,
for sure.
right.
Move on from him. That's my opinion. All right, going to move on to another quarterback. Tons of controversy circling him in this offseason. And it was actually a guy that changed my opinion last year. A guy I was completely out on and then back on, and now I'm just not sure. Deshaun Watson, buy, sell, hold.
I'm gonna go with buy. And again, I'm not even really a big Watson guy, but I just think with the way things have gone down, not only was he able to produce with a lot of injuries at receiver, but not the best supporting cast in terms of offensive line and defense, which in fantasy terms might have helped him. But I feel like he's going to be coming wherever he ends up. He's going to be playing with a big chip on his shoulder, and he's going to be, trying to prove that he's worth going to a situation where they have a shot at a Super Bowl. I'm going to say buy too, and. Again, the value probably isn't even that great right now, but I have a feeling it's going to be a lot harder to get him a year from now, and for that reason, I'm going to go get him now if I can.
I like it. Job Beast, do you think there should be a discount for Deshaun Watson with the uncertainty right now?
I do not. I think he's like Russell Wilson, Tom Brady. Doesn't matter. Patrick Mahomes, Kurt Warner.
So he's
get
just
this type of quarterback,
Well-
just go get him. If you can get him, if you get a discount now, just get him.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. Maybe you could get him for a little discount with the uncertainty. We were just speaking about, he mentioned Chicago as one of the teams, a team that doesn't really excite me a ton. Although if they keep Allen Robinson, that defense, I think you nailed it on the head, though. The motivation factor is what I really like about Deshaun Watson at this moment. I mean, anytime you can get a guy that's, and I get it, all these guys should be motivated.
Right.
With the chip on the shoulder, that little bit of extra push. And I think you're going to see that of Deshaun Watson the next couple years if he gets out of Houston, which seems like he's going to.
Right.
I mean, I think it's going to be a guy who's playing as motivated as ever. I'd buy Deshaun Watson right now. All right,
Agreed.
got another quarterback. I think I know the answer on this one. We'll see. Jared Goff, a guy that just moved, into Detroit. Your guys' thoughts on Jared Goff? Buy, sell, hold.
I think everybody's thinking sell, but I'm buying. I mean, he's for your second. He's going to be your second quarterback. He's got a guaranteed job. He's not going anywhere. The Detroit's going to be behind. He's going to be throwing the ball everywhere. And I don't know very much about Cespedes Quintez.
Oh yeah, Quintez Cephas. Yeah.
Quintez Cephas, and do they bring Galladay back? But just 2 years ago, he supported 3 top 24 wide receivers.
Right.
And Cup, Woods, and Woods.
Cooks. Yep.
Woods, yeah.
Good point. And I think a lot of people forget that. I mean, Jared Goff supported 3 wide receivers.
And Gurley.
Yeah.
Gurley.
Yeah, that offense was humming. I tell you what, his value's at an all-time low. I almost want to say buy too, but I'll say hold. If you got him, you might as well just see how things go in Detroit. I agree with John Beast. There's definitely some upside there. The weapons might not be great. I saw they signed Tyrell Williams today. If he can stay healthy, that's a guy that's, to me, that's similar kind of receiver to Kenny Galladay. So interesting that they made that move. But either way, I don't think it would be worth it to sell him at this point, even though, it doesn't seem super exciting to keep him on your roster. I just don't really see the value in moving on from him. You might as well see if he can increase his value in this year in Detroit. But then again, they also could draft a quarterback and this be pointless in like 4 weeks or so into the season. So
yeah, that's a good point. I actually agree. I think you either buy or hold. Definitely not a sell. 'Cause you're not going to get a ton out of them. But I mean, here's a guy like John pointed out. He has supported 3 wide receivers, and we spoke on that chip on your shoulder too.
exactly.
I mean, why wouldn't he have it too? I mean, here's a guy they just got rid of.
You know what's crazy? And Tyler Higbee. I mean, Tyler Higbee, he carried teams to a championship a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, out of nowhere.
Yeah,
I mean, he's not
that's a
even the
good
starting
point.
tight end. He's just some backup. He's just on the bench, and he just came out there, and all of a sudden, 5 weeks in a row, he
Yeah.
threw up 20 points.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So are you recommended buy Tyler Higbee?
No,
No.
it's tough on the tight ends. Tight ends, I'm not very good at tight ends. I'll be honest.
I mean, it's pretty hit or miss, so I understand that.
I mean, half your league isn't very good at tight ends.
So more than half.
Yeah,
3/4.
more than.
I mean, minimum. So
Right.
All right, another guy here, number 1 wide receiver in Carolina last year, Robbie Anderson. I just got to ask, is his value at an all-time high? Is he a buy, sell, hold?
Yeah, I pumped up Robbie Anderson throughout the season. And not even that I'm a big Robbie Anderson guy. I actually got burned on some DJ Moore shares last year. But, he was getting the targets last year when Teddy was the quarterback. With so much up in the air at quarterback there, it's hard for me to have faith in Robbie Anderson going forward, having him produce at the level he did last year. So for me, I'm going to say sell him off his best season. You can sell him on just his stats alone, and then just hope that someone bites there. Because, again, I think it's more downhill from here, more boom or bust versus consistent production like he had last year. Going forward, it's going to be a little more boom or bust, in my opinion.
JB, you agree?
I do not. I do not. I mean, this is probably the last player we'll talk about this session. But I look at Robbie Anderson. I think you can get him cheap. Because I think people are going to look just like Ryan's looking at him, thinking that, hey, you know what? It was just kind of like a fluky season. He didn't do that well. I mean, he did great, but he's not going to be able to keep it up. He's not going to be maintain it, and this, that, and the other, and whatever excuse that you got to make. That he's not a big name. He got every other reason. He played for the Jets of all teams. And maybe he's going to be. Maybe you can get him cheap. I bet you can get him cheap. I for sure you can get him for a 2022 second. And just wait. Maybe you can get him for Septimus Fuentes, who very well could be the number 1 wide receiver in Detroit, but you can get him, and if he just produces, maybe he gets, 800 yards, 4 touchdowns, and he's getting you 12 points a game, which is, hey, that's decent. That can help you out. You can win. Hey, on your bye weeks, you need those players, and there's going to be extra bye weeks this year because of the extra game.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if you could get him for a second-round pick. I don't think you could.
Oh, I do.
I feel like his value for the season he just had, his value is probably pretty low in comparison. So I see that side of it, but yeah, I still think it's going to be hard to give him away for nothing, even if it was a fluky season. I don't know. I'm sticking with my sell.
I do think he's a sell, though. I actually think he's the 3rd best receiver on that team. Just my personal opinion. So I would try to sell him, but if I could only get a second-round pick out of him, I'd much rather hold him and see if he can repeat as the number 1.
Well, do you think you can get him?
Especially a 2022 second-round pick. I just wouldn't do it. I'd personally hold him for a second.
Do you think you'd get him for a first?
No, but I think he's one of those guys. He's right in the middle. He's not quite worth a first to me, and I also wouldn't let him go for a second. But if he was on my team, I wouldn't let him go for anything less than a first.
Jonathan does about 1,000 trades a week during the season.
Him too.
Okay, 1,000 trades a week, not us, but approving and looking at trades. And if you saw Robbie Anderson, would you be more? If you saw a second-round pick, you wouldn't even hesitate. You just hit approve.
No, I wouldn't hesitate at all.
At all. But
that's not a fair judgment
to
put on me because we've acknowledged over the years that
it's tough to
we don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah, we don't have a crystal ball.
We don't know, and so I mean, I think he could. But would you hesitate if a guy sent him for a first?
I think I would.
You would?
I would look at that. It would be hard. It would just be hard to pull the trigger.
And where did he finish last year? Just to be.
Oh, we have to ask the doc.
Oh, I don't have the numbers at the top of my head.
Well, I know this. We had 3 Carolina receivers in the top 26 because I pulled that stat out last week.
Right.
Curtis Samuel was 26. DJ Moore, I believe, in the teens. Robbie Anderson finished above all of them. I think it was almost right outside the top 10, I believe. So a little shocked that, a top 10 guy. I personally seen it for a first. I don't think I'd hesitate. But that remains to be seen. Tell me what you guys think. Appreciate you so much for listening. Did you pull that up yet?
I'm getting there.
We'll get that on the next show. Appreciate you guys so much for listening. If you could, hit that like and subscribe button. Come be a part of the Masters family. Also, if you're looking for a new Dynasty League, MastersFantasyFootballLeagues.com. We've got over 600 of them and growing. Any last words, guys?
I do have a last word.
Hopefully
never
he'll
do.
have that answer.
I do too. Yeah.
Do you have the answer?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, let's hear the answer first.
19th.
19.
He was the number one receiver. Moore and Samuel were 24, 25. Yeah.
We got our first orphans posted.
Oh yeah.
And the great thing about orphans, or at least our orphans, are half the cost of a fresh team. You don't have to pay the previous owner paid for the
deposit. Yes,
the
sir.
deposit.
Yep. So go to mastersfantasyfootballleagues.com. Top of the page, you'll see the link to the orphans. Take one of them teams home with you. But I think personally the best way to get into a dynasty league.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, guys.